Hi, welcome to another episode of Caps and Cards. I'm your host, Spidey, and I am joined today by, go ahead, Teach.
Your guest co-host, co-host, DJ North Shore Fitteds here, and we have the wonderful Hatter here as well.
And the third wheel of Professor Hatter.
But we like to keep him involved, so I think he'll be a little more into it than a third wheel normally is. So let's take it away.
We're going to talk about the NFL playoffs, correct?
Well, today's title is going to be hockey season, or it's hockey season now, because obviously you can see I'm wearing baseball shit, but at which point,
like 30 more days till pitchers and catchers report the end of February.
Yeah, for that World Baseball Classic. But normally, there's a pretty good video on YouTube where they do the lowering of the Bills flag and they put up the Sabres flag, like it's an annual tradition around this time. So you kind of just go with it.
You didn't have it sooner.
Yeah, normally it's like November, so we're pretty psyched about that. So yes, it is hockey season now, and I'm already wearing Brewers gear. Well, I never stop, so there's that.
I want to congratulate on Joe Burrow going into Buffalo and braving the cold and coming out with a W there, even with the overturned touchdown there. Yeah, Jamar Chase.
But lucky for you, I brought my notes so that we can talk some shit. First shit talk goes towards TJ. The Bills were 2-0 against the Pats, so I will take this as a moral victory. We beat them 24-10 and 35-23. So yay, 2-0, yay. That'll be like the carrot bobblehead, where it's just kind of like
overall in the last 10 years we're probably still like 65-5 now.
That's like the fucking carrot bobblehead, it's just like he never races, but he's there, so they're like, hey, you win something.
I just think overall you guys are probably catching up now to the Brady era where we just like dominated y'all.
And then I don't remember the last time we actually played the Bears, but this year
thank you for
we were 1-0.
Thank you for giving us a loss so we can get that number one draft pick. So big hats off to the Bills.
One of your wins was against us.
That was our last
number one.
That was the last one we had of the season. Was against
y'all got the one?
Yeah, the Bears.
We had like
when Lovie Smith did that big FU so that the Bears
last week of the season. Yeah, we're building a statue for Lovie Smith outside Soldier Field, and then it'll be moved to Arlington Heights when the Bears move there with their new stadium. And millions of Chicago residents are going to be writing in Lovie Smith in for mayor for the upcoming mayoral election in February for Chicago.
They just got to throw him a job now. They got fired by the Texans. Give him something like stupid, like assistant defensive coordinator or something.
He got fired, yeah.
Yep.
So that's good news for him though, because
he was just interviewing for the Bears in this last game.
Well, he knew he was out, so he just started. He's like, yeah, we're gonna go 1-16 again. So
they played the Colts, so the Colts were garbage this year too with Matt Ryan and Easton. Easton was their other quarterback, I think.
Sam Ellinger.
It was
from Texas.
It was supposed to be Mason Easton or something.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
It was like they had a revolving chair with the three quarterbacks. It wasn't very good.
He might have got cut in the preseason, or he was just a practice squad guy.
You hear about the McDaniels thing? Why he didn't take the Colts job? Jim Irsay was inappropriate with his wife, the owner of the Colts.
Shocker! Have you seen how red that guy is?
Irsay?
Like, that's not even a skin tone. Like, it's like Trump hat red.
He's just like one of those old school owners that are just like, I don't give a fuck. I have more money than God. Just
jeez.
Only he can judge me.
Oh.
He looks burnt.
There we go. He looks burnt. That's because he is.
Well, they had McDaniel. That's probably because he does that stupid spray tan stuff.
No, it's not a spray tan anymore. That's a lot of alcohol. It's the blood shot. The blood cells in his face are just exploding.
But
And
anyway, I'd like to congratulate the Burrow, and I'm rooting for the Bengals all the rest of the way. I know John obviously won't.
I
just
I I will. I don't know. I got my Burrow glasses, but we'll see.
I just want to see someone who hasn't won a Super Bowl win one for a change. I wouldn't be mad if the Eagles won it either.
They won one recently. Stop it.
Yeah.
Well, see, I want to root for.
They're left to root for. Yeah, the Niners. You get Brock Purdy, which I kind of I don't really like Kyle Shanahan that much. Although he did give.
I'm gonna have to go Niner gang just because fuck the AFC from here on out.
Spoken like a true.
Well, I can't root for the Chiefs because I'm a Broncos fan, so F the Chiefs. So I was close because I have a thing where when I buy a hat for a team or apparel for a team when they're in the playoffs or going into the postseason, I jinx them. So you remember how
Him too.
Remember in the divisional round how the Giants beat the Vikings? That was me. That was me. I bought a Vikings hat because one of my coworkers.
That wasn't just beating. That was a massacre. Although the Giants didn't fare better against the Eagles.
Now I don't want to buy a Chiefs hat because I'm a Broncos fan. I don't want to spend more than $2 measly on a Chiefs hat. Can't do it.
That's why I got this one for most.
I don't blame you. Even with the all over hats, I used to take a piece of tape and cover the Red Sox logo. Because like even the minor league Red Sox logo, I would still be like, no. And
I think that all of us growing up, we wouldn't wear you'd never catch Jeff in a Packers hat.
I don't think so. You might now.
I wouldn't be caught with a Yankees hat as a kid growing up. Or
you won't catch me in Leafs gear if I don't get it customized that says like losers since or still fucking can advance in the playoffs.
To put that in perspective, my dad was 5 years old the last time the Leafs won a cup.
My dad was 10. And the league had like 14 teams.
Just embarrassing.
And the Sabres were not the Sabres. They had like that Pepsi logo. It looks like
the Buffalo, and it was like
and it says Buffalo. Yeah. It looks like a bottle top. And that was the Buffalo hockey team at the time, and they were in a completely different league. It's like when the AFL merged with the NFL, similar to that. Because I saw a graph where it said years since a championship for the NFL teams, and the Bills are on it, and it says like 60 something years. Well, they won it right before the merger. They were the last team to win the championship. So that was pretty cool. They do have 4 of them. So it's like they got those 4. I don't know if they're back to back, but that'd be
anything other than the Lombardi trophy is just a participation trophy, just like how the Packers had the most championships because they won like every year when the NFL
it's still impressive, but it would be some hell of a jinx that if they went back to back in the AFL, and that's why they've been cursed forever. And then they went to the 4 Super Bowls, and it's like, no, you won 4 AFL chips. And
I think the biggest thing that killed you guys in the playoffs was not having Von Miller. Because he's such a leader on your guys' defense. Like your defense is a lot different going forward after Miller went up.
Look at the Eagles, and they have was that Linval Joseph, and the Cowboys went after somebody, and then Sue signed with the Eagles. It was just kind of like an Eagles rally, and I could see them going all the way. I was skeptical of Hurts playing well this weekend, but he really kind of proved us wrong. So
I honestly wouldn't mind. It would be a really exciting Super Bowl to see the Bengals and Eagles. That's who I'm picking to go all the way.
I think that, yeah, that would be a cool, like the Eagles were not the underdogs at all. They've kind of been in the limelight the whole time here, this whole season. And
the only question mark they have the only question mark they had was that late season injury to Hurts. Whether he was going to come back and be the same type of player or not.
I mean, Hertz did come back. I was not sure if I liked him for rushing yards, or I felt like it was going to be a very like limited running game for him, and he'd be
Those
mobile,
divisional
but not.
games are the divisional games are always kind of tough for those teams, especially when you play someone a third time in the year. They know each other very well. Like the Giants, it could have gone either way. Just that the Giants weren't anywhere. Their roster wasn't anywhere close to what the Eagles had.
Wait, John, your what hurts? What'd you say hurt?
Jalen.
They're all laughing, but when he goes,
Well, we don't have that meme around right now that says long Cox Hurts, but you know, not we should have like an
Well,
extra
there's
window
legend there.
just open at some point so that we can just constantly.
There's legend there, Chris Long, right? Didn't he play for the Bears or
Chris Long, yeah, Howie Long's son, yeah. And
Bears
then
Raiders?
No, we had Kyle Young.
no,
Oh.
the Eagles.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
You stepped away. We've been talking about the Eagles.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'd honestly like to see the Eagles and Bengals at this point. I don't want to see the Chiefs make another Super Bowl.
No, I'm so sick of him. I'm sick of that whole. I mean, I did like that fake OJ tweet where he was like, "Hey, I know how to get rid of your wife."
At least they're not in the stadium anymore, and they're not less of a distraction. Although it is interesting that the Chiefs signed like Juju Smith-Schuster's on that roster, who was such a distraction for that last 2 years of the Steelers organization.
Yeah,
But Andy Reid's definitely toned him down where he's not. It's more about the organization than the individual.
It
and
also kind of become irrelevant.
the other funny thing about that was that Doug Peterson played quarterback for Andy Reid for the Jags or something in a playoff game. I think it was the Jags.
It wasn't. It was the Green Bay when Andy
Green
Reid
Bay? Oh shit.
way back.
knew.
And then Andy Reid had Doug Peterson on his staff for 10 years, so you knew when they were playing in Jacksonville that it was going to be close because they know each other. They know what the other person's going to call. It is exciting seeing all these young quarterbacks make the playoffs, whether it be Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, and everybody at least making an appearance.
Now I'm gonna have to cross-examine you because Stetson Bennett is 25 and he's coming back for his 8th season at
No,
Georgia.
he's not. No.
I thought he was declared for the draft.
And he's coming back to Georgia,
No.
going back to back to back. And he's probably gonna ride off into the sunset because he's got like a 20 million NIL deal. Why does he have to go to the NFL?
He might have something left to prove, like a Kurt Warner type of situation where he wants to see what he can do at the next level.
He's gonna be that. All right, not like JP Lossman, but like there was it Greg Oden where he like just went up for a dunk and just tore his ACL and never played again. That's what I think Stetson Bennett would do in the NFL. And I don't mean that to be mean.
It all depends on what drafts him and what they have around him. Now, Jeff, I have a question for you. Do you think the Bears with the first overall pick are going to take a quarterback, or are you guys going to trade out of it?
We're gonna trade it. Either we trade it. I probably trade for a established wide receiver. Originally, it'd be nice if it was trading with the Raiders for Devontae Adams because he wants out because Carr is leaving, and Adams wanted to go to the Raiders because that's where Carr was. So put 2 and 2 together. But now that they gave out on that car, they want a new car instead, not an old used car. The Raiders are going to go and get a new person. So might as well give us Devontae Adams, who doesn't want to be there then, and we'll give you the first pick, and then we'll also take back your first round pick. So we'll swap first round picks. I'll take Devontae Adams, and you can get Bryce Young if you want, or CJ Stroud.
I'd like to see it. All depends on what happens with Brady. If Brady decides to go to Vegas because he likes McDaniels.
Now, yeah, so free agency will kind of have a impact on that, but the other rumor would be to trade with Indiana Indianapolis for Pittman because they Colts want a quarterback. They want to move up, so would make sense. Of course, Devontae Adams is at a elite level compared to Pittman, but I'd say Pittman would be for sure better than
I don't know
probably two or
how
three of our
Adams
receivers combined.
because he's more of a like stretch the field kind of guy, and I don't think Fields is the guy who throws the ball. I think of the field that Fields is more of a scrambling, like check down type of guy.
I also don't want my other curse where I get a player's jersey or a t-shirt jersey and then they leave.
Those are called jerseys, okay?
Okay.
Jerseys.
But I remember when I was younger that I asked for Christmas for and I'm sure my dad can hear the story here, that I wanted a Mark DeRosa jersey for Christmas one year when I was in like 7th or 8th grade. And I'm like, yeah, he's a great player. I think he was second base. And then I got it for Christmas. And then about a week and a half later, he got traded away, I think, to the Indians. It's like, I just got it. So ever since, I can't do a player jersey or jersey.
I will say the Bears have had probably two of the most iconic moments in NFL history, whether it was that 86 Bears defense that none of us were around to see. And probably the Devin Hester punt return for our kickoff return for a touchdown.
My dad just said I should go for the jerseys for the dead guys. A little bit safer that way.
I tend to collect older Mitchell Ness stuff. Like the jersey I'm wearing right now isn't a Burrow, it's a Boomer Esiason.
PJ, you know what I did, right? With my one Sabres jersey. Who did I pick?
They had a Hall, and then you made it.
I was gonna do a Butcher for Hall, but then I was like, I don't know, I just kind of like it. And I changed Hall into Deck the Halls because it was Christmas time. It was just perfect. But Sabretooth is who I picked as my jersey because Fanatics has the the 1 year trade guarantee, and I was like, if they trade mascots, I'm throwing in the fucking towel, man. They cannot trade him. And then like a couple weeks ago here, we beat the Predators, and I was like, it's Sabretooth versus Nash, and we got to win the battle of the saber teeth, man. Like, this is fucking bullshit. No team should be able to copy another team completely, like so blatantly, and the same colors.
Did y'all see Jerry Rice's chain he was wearing?
No.
For the game, it was a giant 49er helmet that was all diamonds and gold.
Did it spin? Was it like the home run derby chain? Or was it not?
No, it was just like this giant, like it looked like a mini helmet, like a Riddell mini helmet. But on a necklace made of gold. It was like the most gaudy thing you could think of.
You know, I don't think there was anything better than the Pete Alonso derby spinning chain back-to-back derby champ.
I'd say the NFL, like sports in general, has some cool, like interesting things like that. Like Miami has the turnover chain whenever someone gets turnover on defense.
Yeah.
University of Miami.
Yeah, but it's
or they have decorations. Sorry, like the Brewers. Not only do they have the home run infinity gauntlet, but they also ring the bell. So everyone has a decoration. Everyone has a celebration thing. Everyone has
Brewers ring the bell and for a home run.
The Red Sox ruined Sweet Caroline for everybody else.
He's missing one.
No, it was ring the bell. And you had the infinity gauntlet.
Go down. Bernie goes down the slide.
Oh yeah, forgot that. I was thinking more like the kind of a street, like the wearing stuff, like the little things. But yeah, I forgot about Bernie. I should know that.
What do they do at Wrigley? Nothing.
I should know about I should know about Bernie.
No, they make
doing
the
sliding.
they make the big
I see it
beer
all the
snake
time.
there. They make the big beer snake up in the bleachers up there.
We play Go Cubs Go when we win, but that hasn't been a whole lot recently.
So you guys used to raise the W flag. I don't know if you guys still do outside the stadium.
When we win, which isn't as often.
It's crazy to think how they liquidated that team from that championship. They didn't keep anybody around.
Well, I
and
mean,
you gotta like prevent me because like the W flag is my favorite thing about his sports teams because they were like super bad last year. And I was like, Jeff, I can't find your team's website. And he was like, what? And I was like, they can't put 3 W's together.
I can't believe Dansby Swanson
I
chose
didn't
to go
remember
to
that one.
Chicago. Yeah, I can't think of why Dansby Swanson wanted to go to Chicago. I was really hoping he'd sign with the Red Sox.
And then I was trying to get Phil with it the other day. I was like, they should rename Minnesota the Tins. And he's like, the Tins.
I got
And
my
I was
happy
like,
little
yeah,
hat.
because they can never find a W.
Did you guys see that guy that painted his with the sunset on the top?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. The Provo
Rob.
Angels.
Not bad, but yeah, no, this is a nice one.
I
I
think
wish I got it originally when it
Cubs
came
and the
out from New
Bears
Era,
are
but I got it from Exclusive Fitteds instead.
Yeah, I think the Cubs and the Bears.
Had them for like $29.
I just think that hat makes the most sense for the Cubs and the Bears because, like, you get a team like the Red Sox or Yankees that are like a coastal team. It doesn't make sense to paint forest around it.
Like the Angels, kinda.
Like how they did the wave hats for everybody, and the wave hats kind of didn't make sense for like Kansas City.
You know what the wave hat was, right? That was a Japan exclusive. That
Yeah.
was in just Japan. They had one where it didn't have the team logo and it was just waves. And then on the undervisor, it was a screen printed wave.
Well, that's what the Divine Wind thing is in Japan. Like they believe that the Mongolian fleet tried to invade Japan, and the Divine Wind saved them because it was a huge typhoon that wiped out the Mongolian fleet that tried to invade Japan 1,000 or so years ago.
That's it's like one of those origin stories. That's some artist created that, and I don't want to get it wrong. So Mike would absolutely know way more about that because I have seen the ones where it's just straight waves and they have like underbottoms, and they also have the Van Gogh collection and all sorts of stuff. But you have to wear it with a chin strap because it'll fall off because you can one ear.
Just gotta get a couple sizes up so you can tuck your ears in.
Yeah, or you can tuck your ears in. You can do that old again. Might have to wear a little slanted, a little OG
do like
style.
the Ken Griffey thing where he tucks his ear and he's wearing it behind his head.
All right, so we were talking a little bit last night, and the topic of MVP for the season came up. There are 3 categories: player, coach, and staffer. Can you pick just one? TJ, go ahead.
For MVP, I'd probably go with Burrow. They started out 0-4, and they made all the way back. As far as coaches of the year, and they say I'd like to see a co-awards to the Bills head coach and the Bengals head coach because the NFL was pushing them to play after the Damar Hamlin injury, and both coaches said we can't do this right now. We got to be the hospital. We got to go see this player, make sure he's all right. And as far as coaching staff, it's probably the Bills staffer, the medical staffer that saved Damar Hamlin's life.
Denny Killington.
Well, go ahead, Jeff, since we're pretty much in agreement, and I didn't show him anything.
No, because actually that was I forget. I remember it was one NFL writer. Her name was Sue, and she gave her vote of MVP to Denny Killington, the medical staffer on the Bills team that gave administrative CPR to Hamlin on the field, saving his life. So that was kind of I guess a bold vote, but an important vote. Something that hasn't happened before to the NFL, and it was very annoying to see so many people throughout Twitter and Facebook saying, they waited so long to cancel the game. They did this wrong, they did that wrong. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. You tell me how you handled this perfectly the last time this happened. You tell me when it happened to you, how you took care of it all. It was all hunky dory apple pie. You tell me how it happened. It hasn't. So the way that they handled it was good. It was the best they could. I'm not gonna
I'd
say
say
that
it's
I'm not gonna say that they
volumes
did it
about
terribly.
guys' characters because
They the NFL handled it the right way. Now, of course, the Bengals, they pitched their fit about how the game was handled afterwards, about the neutral site, and then the scenarios. But I guess it was their chip on their shoulder to get them through to the championship game for the AFC. But Denny
I think
for
the
the
sports
Bills.
writers they canceled. They said that they had the Super Bowl hangover. The Bengals aren't going to make the playoffs. They were 0-4. Joe Burrow on me these last 3 games. I'm going to step up my play, and we're going to do better. And he just was a vocal leader on the field and got his team to the playoffs.
Obviously, I agree with you guys on your 2 picks, but coach wise, I gotta give Shanahan his credit because Garoppolo was having a 300 passing yard game. He was having like the game of his life. That was the first one with McCaffrey. When he goes out, and then Irrelevant comes in, Brock Purdy, and they've just been unstoppable. And I'm not going to let some game in the middle of October, the 7th, I believe, 44-27 final score, decide what happens, in a potential Super Bowl. Neither of these AFC teams are really equipped for that like West Coast style defense. And I don't think they've seen anything like it.
I think the Bengals could probably shred the 49ers. I think that the only thing they would have trouble with is stopping the run on the other end because you have George Kittle blocking for Christian McCaffrey.
And they were going jumbo today. So they were putting D linemen and O linemen in the fullback position.
The way to beat the 49ers, if you can stop that, if you can interfere with that run game and make Mr. Irrelevant have to throw it a bunch.
That didn't work for the Cowboys as much. When he had to throw it, the defense, Diggs was almost 100%.
The Bengals defense handled the Bills, which have a similar like punch style offense where they have a little bit of running game and they rely on Allen to make these big throws. If they can force Purdy to do the same thing they made Allen do, it'll be an interesting game.
So am I crazy to say that would you say this player would be comeback player or MVP of the year? Geno Smith.
Probably comeback of the year.
Probably for sure comeback. I mean, he was.
I don't see him getting the MVP votes just because of the way they got smacked in that first playoff game.
Well, I mean, playoffs shouldn't be relevant to an MVP vote. Shouldn't be
No,
relevant to a regular
because
season.
that would be playoff MVP and or Super Bowl MVP. That's where
You
that
can say it doesn't count, but it comes into play a little bit with the writers and the voters and stuff towards the end of the year.
No, that's a popularity contest. That's like saying the top 100 players, and you're a Chiefs fan, so you put Mahomes number 1, and then you're gonna put Brady number 1, and he's gonna put, I don't know, Mean Joe Green number 1. Like we all have different opinions about it.
Well, as far as that goes, like Eli Manning, it made his career off of off those 2 Super Bowl wins because he had a 500 career otherwise. If you take those 2
and the helmet catch, like all that shit, like.
And that's why Eli Manning's in the top 100 NFL because he's won those 2 Super Bowls against those Goliath Patriot teams.
And that doesn't even. He won them, but there's so many players that, like, when you look at players that had great careers and still can't make Hall of Fames for dumb reasons. I just seen another player who, like, I was watching something about baseball and he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Andrew Jones.
That's it. Yeah.
Braves.
How can you have, like, what is it? 50 stolen bases, something ridiculous.
He has 500 home runs, over 2,000 hits. He's one of the few people with 500 home run club with over 2,000 hits that isn't in the Hall of Fame.
There was a video, a clip of it. I forgot who the other. There are 4 players who have 400 plus home runs and 10 Gold Gloves. It's Jones, Griffey, Schmidt, and one other guy. But still, it's like that kind of, and like you were saying before about like those high numbers are really big, standards.
As far as baseball, it's all about statistics. So he should be a Hall of Famer. He just never got the appreciation because the Braves only won it once with him. The
Now,
Braves
Maddox,
got
Schmaltz in the
playoff
hall.
for-
now that the 2 famous quotes we always use, we always say, Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And then for
Michael Scott.
baseball, we praise players that are successful only 1/3 of the time. Those are very controversial.
Yeah, well, baseball is the only game you can go 3 for 10 and you're considered good.
That's what I said, 1/3 of the time. So you're batting 300, but the other player who just, if you don't try, you can't win. Are they not saying the same thing?
It's just interesting to see what's going to happen with these awards and stuff like that.
Oh, and now that the Coyotes and the Knights went under, I just won like $120. So I just wanted to interrupt our little fucking speech here.
Well, Cassidy's starting to Cassidy it up in Vegas, so.
Oh, let me give you a blind. Let me give you a blind stat here. I'm gonna go off some stats here and kind of the big stats here. I'm gonna have you guys not tell me who it is, but I'm gonna have you say, are they Hall of Fame worthy or not? So they played over 2,200 games in their career. They had over 8,000 at bats, over 1,100 runs, 2,254 hits, 365 doubles, 342 home runs, 1,331 RBIs, 35 stolen bases. Batting average was 277, OPS 826. I know that was a lot there, but if you want me to repeat anything or
Any playoff experience or any on this
No.
person?
no, none at all, especially no, in 14 years, never got to the playoffs.
That's
I'm not telling you to name the player. I'm telling you to tell me
Yeah.
would they
Hall of
be in
Fame
the
or not?
Hall
you
of
made
Fame?
that up, or that's a real player?
Nope, I'm looking right at their stats on Baseball
Any
Reference.
All-Star game appearances or MVP votes?
Actually, let me double check that. Hold
That's
on.
another big thing for baseball for the Hall of Fame.
Right. He has 9 All-Stars, 5 Gold Gloves.
9 All-Stars, 5 Gold Gloves.
277 batting average, 2,000 plus RBIs.
No, RBIs over 1,300, over 2,200 hits.
And he's retired?
Yes.
I'd say Hall of Famer based on the stats that he has.
I mean, if you put that guy in the 2 or 3 hole, 9-time All-Star, tell me what 9-time All-Stars or even 10-time. Anything over 5, I feel like
The only
you're
thing keeping him out
shooting.
is he probably played in the small market because you have that New York bias when it comes to Cooperstown where they're always going to vote the Yankees in, but the smaller market guys tend not to get in.
So you
It
wanna have-
sounds like Castellanos, but he's still playing because
No,
he's
this is
like
a
the
retired
double
player.
master.
He played in the 60s.
That's got to be like, oh, it's not Joe Morgan.
I
I
would
would
say
say yes, but I can't.
Because I mean,
What position does he play? Or give me a team.
third base.
277. That would make him slightly below average, but if he was a defenseman or even
He
He had the
He-
Gold Gloves, so
he said that having his number retired meant more than being in the Hall of Fame.
he's got to be a like Brewer or something.
He never saw himself be in the Hall of Fame. He had to be voted in. He did get in the Hall of Fame. He was voted in 2012 by the Golden Era Committee. Ron Santos. And even for me, when I think of Ernie Banks, Mr. Cub, you think of all the stats and all the records of all the applicable of all the good solid records, the ones that aren't tainted, Sammy Sosa. But then you think of Ron Santos and you're like, okay, he was good. I mean, I was kind of surprised that he had more than 300 home runs, to be honest, and more than 2,000 hits, but you never really saw like Ron Santos as like a huge name, just like a really good baseball person.
Yep.
And you don't always think of him as like a automatic like first round, maybe second round Hall of Fame. He had to go to the Golden Era Committee. Again, he died in 2010 before he was inducted to the Hall of Fame. So, hearing Wes Jones here with all these more incredible stats than Santos, it's like, why?
But he was a
Who's on drugs there?
he was a crazy player for the Braves. Like defensively, he made some catches that were amazing.
Well,
He just
he's playing
had-
against Brooks Robinson, and I mean,
with those Hall of Fame committees for baseball is probably the hardest Hall of Fame to get into. I would say out of all the major sports. I'd say the easiest is probably the Basketball Hall of Fame, the Naismith Hall of Fame, because you can have a great career in college and get in.
Mhm.
And then football and hockey are like iffy, like either way.
I was leaning on Brooks, but I knew that his batting average was like 3 points higher. Because I know he likes the Orioles, and I was like, man.
No, it's just interesting to think about like all these stats. Like Andrew Jones should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. He should have already been in. But it's because the era he played in had so many great players when he retired. He was one of those guys.
Like, look at now. Look at Bellinger. Like he was a nasty animal for so long. Now he's going to Wrigley, and he's got that like short porch right field kind of deal. He should be killing the ball there. Like that should bring him back up to MVP status.
Well, that's what I like about like the adjusted stats, like the more advanced analytics now, because they take into account the ballparks and everything like that.
So I'm looking it up. I'm doing a side-by-side comparison. Brooks Robinson had a batting average of 267, over 2,800 hits, 268 home runs, and maybe almost 20 more RBIs than Santos. But he had 18 All-Star selections, AL MVP, 16 Gold Gloves. Also, he was on a winning team. So, like when you asked before, was he in playoff experience? Was the Cubs in the 60s? Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no.
But just from the stat line, before you asked about Gold Gloves and shit, I was like, I know who it is. And I was about to pull Brooks Robinson card out and be like, oh, and then he's like, nope, Cubs. I'm like, fuck.
I just like to say, with baseball, they do take into account like how successful was this player in his era. Like that's why guys like Andrew Jones haven't gotten in, because he played with Chipper Jones. There were so many other great players in his era when he finally hung it up, where it was hard for him to get in, because he was always on that last little bit of the list where he'd be getting votes taken away from him just because Derek Jeter had to get in unanimously and
then
Mariano Rivera and stuff like that. It's that New York bias.
And then Brooks was first ballot Hall of Fame in 1983 with 91.98% of the votes. So,
well, that's right. Like the Sox out of the three commit the big three for the Red Sox were Johnny Pesky, Bobby Turner, and Ted Williams in the 60s. Johnny Pesky's the only one that isn't a Hall of Famer, but he has crazy stats too.
Well, that's like, in every election for let's just go with like president. There is one familiar character that is voted more than any other, not even persons.
I know this one.
God,
Mickey Mouse.
thank you. If these people actually voted for a person instead of said Mickey Mouse, that could have swayed many elections over the years. Mickey Mouse has been voted for like millions of times, millions, maybe even a billion by now.
That's like they said the McDonald's logo is more recognizable in the world than the Christian cross.
Well, there are other crosses, to be fair.
But the fact that a company can be more iconic, like a long established religion, is interesting. Not to get into that like theological argument, just for argument's sake, like it's crazy to think that these like there's certain things that transcend cultures and they just like are global.
It's the capitalism in our society that cannot thrive in any other country based off their leader systems, their monarchies, and just the way they've been placed in power for so long. They're still running off essentially feudal societies with new technology. Now, let's cut the history bullshit. So
get back to the topic at hand. Let's talk about.
I did want to transition into hockey, and I am wearing the Noble North. This bear. This thing is awesome. Awesome. Got a little snowflake on the back there.
What would be really cool on that hat if they put like, you remember that polar puck? It had the hockey puck with the flames in the back. If you had incorporated something like that on the back instead of his Noble North logo.
I really like.
I do like Ryan's designs. I think Noble North has some of the best priced customs too. But you can go out and order a clink for $60-$70. But I can
Clinks are 55 now, so that's a little bullshitty, but
no, but like let's say if I try to buy if I want to buy something that's like they have on their website that's like extra stock. So it costs me $60-$70 after shipping.
No, they knocked it down. They knocked it down.
But on Ryan's website, I can get 2 hats for that. Because he pays
Yeah.
The only thing with him that's kind of killer is the shipping because that's international because of Canada. But if you spend over 150, which is pretty
It's
easy.
not killer because the exchange rate is like 168 to 1.
Yeah. Like yeah, we cut their price, we cut their currency in half, so it's not that crazy.
Not almost. Used to be half.
Wait, so if you were to order a hat from the Noble North today and one hat from Clink Room, would you get both hats in the same year? Would it be delivered in the same
I would
year?
get Noble North in about a week. I would get Clink Room the next year, probably.
Oh, okay.
Just saying,
Just
as far
making
as,
sure.
As far as the custom game goes, Ryan has a very, very unique situation with the way the currency and everything works, where he has an advantage over everybody else who's pumping out customs.
Wait, John. For when you get your Noble North hats, do you just go meet him at the board? He throws the box over and you catch it.
He doesn't use this service that there a couple of companies that or other shows that I prefer not to mention that pay for a service to drive them over the border and ship them from here via Niagara Falls, which I guess that's cool, but I'd rather just wait and it says $20, but it's really like $8.95 or something in our currency.
The key with Noble North is to group order if you're not going to order a lot of hats, because if you get a few different ones, if you get 2,
it's free.
I've been wanting to try some of his sweatshirts and stuff too, possibly. I was gonna wait around. I know he said he was gonna do the paddles next year again, like another paddles hat.
There's like 4 of them still up there, so
Or I think he said he was gonna bring the sweatshirts back. He had sweatshirts that sold out.
Always do.
Well, it's cold in Canada. You gotta sweatshirt and toque.
So our next topic of the show is hockey. And we're moving into the All-Star game break coming up very soon. They just unveiled the jerseys. They used to actually wear the same jersey year after year with
Yeah,
a
they
different
brought
shoulder
controversy.
patch.
There has been some controversy about that because the only ones available that aren't at team store through team stores are the Fanatics versions. So if you want an authentic, All-Star game jersey, when your players have to go through the team store, which is usually a lot more expensive because sports like SK Sports and stuff do a lot better with the custom because they offer customization services. So you can pay, instead of paying $300 for a hockey jersey, you can pay like $220 and get it customized. If you want
Well,
authentic.
depending on the store you go to, especially like if I went to L Ross and wanted it done, I'd probably save like $20, which, and then you can pay based off how fast you want it done. And I'm just like,
And then a lot of team stores use different styles of twill compared to what the actual teams use because they don't send them to the same issue. They go to the cheapest bidder. So I have like my Pasternak jersey, for example. That's a Fanatics jersey. It's not kiss cut numbers. It's heat pressed on and then stitched over vinyl numbers, which isn't exactly the same as what the Bruins wear on ice, which is a pet peeve of a lot of hockey collectors. I know a lot of hockey collectors were pissed about them only offering the Fanatics version at most websites.
well, that was, when I go to the store now, I will actually lift the jersey up and inspect both sides of the numbers to make sure that they are double layered, or I won't buy it.
Good.
I'd say for hockey, as far as bang for the buck, I like the practice jerseys because you can get them customized anywhere because it's just heat pressed vinyl, and you can usually get them pretty cheap through the team stores. Like I believe the Sabres one we got was only like $10 or $20 because there was a no player.
It was about 30, yeah. So
John,
for our team all-stars, the Blackhawks have Seth Jones, puck moving defenseman.
well, because that's what I was going to get into. How, I don't know if it was you also, but I've been asked by a lot of other hat friends, how does Seth Jones get onto the All-Star team? And I'm like, hell if I know.
So
I
the
will
just
address
as-
that.
I'm just as surprised as you are. Sorry, go ahead.
The Bruins have Olmark, and I forgot the card downstairs, but I have a card from my collection. I was like, TJ, I think I was like, I have a real hard time trying to separate myself from this card right now. And he's like, what is it? And I was like, it's just an Olmark signed card. He's like, what the fuck?
Well, I didn't know that he spent so long down in the minors down there where year after year. It's kind of interesting because he's very comparable to like Tim Thomas in a way where he was stuck in the minors forever and then he broke out like later in life. It's going to be interesting if he can keep it up. But the Bruins have so much star power, you don't know whether it's Olmark or if it's a team around him.
And when he was in the minors, he had that Minions helmet. So he had the two big Minion eyes, and then it was hilarious. But everybody knew when he was playing because he had the big old Minions helmet. Now he kind of changed it. So
if you had asked me a year ago that Olmark was going to be an all-star or number one goaltender, I would have said you're smoking crack.
We obviously know Tristan Jarry and a couple of the other guys. You're gonna know Fleury. You're gonna know. I wouldn't say Martin Jones. I wouldn't say Jack Campbell. I wouldn't say Matt Murray. You're gonna get the 1-2 punch, and that's where the fan vote comes in. Where obviously the popularity contest it's not gonna be. If UPL somehow gets in because he's playing good.
Who was the Kraken's first all-star?
Well, Beniers is.
Would have been last year who had their first year around out of curiosity. It might even Beniers twice in a row now.
No, he's a rookie.
Oh, he's a rookie? I didn't know that.
That was one of my side notes because I was like, Beniers is. I was just looking at his Young Guns card. So
like to see, I believe like a lot of the role players from the Bruins have been playing crazy. It's crazy to think that our second and third liners could end up with 20 goals in a season or on pace for 20 goals in a season.
And I mean, it's incredible. The Bruins have like 4 losses and
A few in
23
and
shootouts.
time, but like we've only lost once in regulation at home.
Yeah, that's just otherworldly at this point.
The Garden,
Who-
the Garden's definitely a wild place to go see a hockey game. Like I've been to a playoff game at the Garden for hockey, and there's nothing like it. The crowd's loud in it. And the craziest thing about that game was against the Columbus Blue Jackets. It was a second round. And the local kid, the local old man, I should say, because Charlie Coyle's been around forever. He came to Boston. We got him for like nothing from Minnesota. He came here and he scored the tying goal and the overtime winning goal. And the whole Garden was just chanting, Charlie Coyle. Just crazy. It's like Boston's like a very cool hockey market because we have a lot of guys from our area on our team. Even down in the minors, we have like Chris Wagner, the mayor of Walpole. He almost won the mayor of Walpole election where he's
But
from.
you do understand that because of BU and
You
the
see
other,
the scout guys when we get to see a lot more guys than you guys
it does help with that transition of signing the local kids. And if they say, hey, if you're not drafted in the first 7 rounds and you want to come play for the Providence or the East Coast Hockey League team, they have plenty of access to those players.
Well, yeah, like Charlie McAvoy was the stud for BU or BC. I don't remember which.
It was the Terriers.
BU. But they do the Garden usually hosts the Bean Cup, which is all the Boston teams play in a big tournament against get the best Boston hockey team championship cup every year.
Don't worry,
So-
I'm prepared. Don't worry.
I've been looking at some of those college jerseys. I've been looking at them to try to get one out of curiosity.
So Seth Jones, I believe he leads defensemen in goals or assists. He's right behind Cal McCarr or right with him. So, but his plus minus is not the greatest because of what team he's on.
So
Well, there's a lot of guys that are defined by that rise above, that have crazy stats. Like Horvat, for example, has almost 40 points, and he's on a Canucks team that's in like last place.
Dude, they have like 4 wins. Don't even talk to me like that.
No, but if the Bruins get Horvat, it's game over in the NHL.
Bo Horvat is such like McCarr last year. Nobody really knew how to move around him, but McCarr just keeps getting better. Like when you say 40 points for a defenseman, Dahlin's already he's moving close to 45, 50.
But the Sabres are a much better team than the Canucks. Imagine him. I don't know. The only thing I don't know where Horvat would fit in our lineup because he's such a good player. You don't want to put. He's going to be sitting behind Krejci and Bergeron, who are our centers. The only thing that would be really good about that
Plays defense.
Horvat, I think he's a center. I thought it'd be big too. It would be big too getting Horvat because of the Brandon Carlo injury. We don't know how long he'll be out, and he's not. He doesn't produce. He only has like I think 2 goals on the season.
I'm like 99 that he plays defense.
I was at the
I
Blackhawks
believe
game.
Horvat's a center.
Ice hockey center.
He's
I
a
was at the
center.
Blackhawks game about 2 weeks ago or so when they played the Avalanche and they upset the Avalanche at the UC. Where I was sitting, it was like really good seats. And it was the second period that the goal that we were facing like right in front of us, the Hawks were in the goal. Peter Mrazek was in goal and not letting
I do like
7 goals
Mrazek.
go by. And the Avalanche score is like, oh crap, they tied it up. Oh crap, Cale McCarr got a goal. He tied up the game, and I'm like, oh my god, I just saw Cale McCarr get a goal. This is
crazy to
awesome.
think that, it's crazy.
I was
to
like,
think-
this is starstruck. I'm like, oh my god, there's Nathan McKinnon. Oh my god, there's Cale McCarr. Holy crap.
It's always fun seeing those big market teams, like the big market teams, like come into town. Like I love seeing the Penguins play when they play the Bruins, just because I like seeing Sidney Crosby and seeing. I liked Tristan Jarry obviously because he's such an incredible goaltender when he's not injured. Play.
I'm gonna pull up the other rosters real fast while we're beefing a little.
As far as like the Bruins go, I don't see anybody stopping us as barring any big injuries. We just have to not let the injuries pile up. The only thing I don't want to happen is us to make playoffs and we sweep everybody and we're waiting.
Big injuries. I'll give you one big injury that will stop your season. Goaltender,
Yeah, Olmark.
100%.
I told TJ the only thing standing your way is the President's Trophy.
Okay, so for the Pacific, you got Kadri, Troy Terry, Connor McDavid, Beniers, Carlson, Fiala. Logan Thompson is the Vegas Knights goaltender. He's like above a 3, almost on his way to a 4 GAA. That's not great. Pedersen, though, that's a great puck moving defenseman. If you're trying to make a trade for Bo Horvat, I would finance my future for Horvat and Pedersen. That's
not only
a move.
that, the Bruins would be set up pretty good if they get Horvat, because if Krejci and Bergeron decide to retire at the end of the season, we have our new center, and it gives us more leverage to sign Pasternak, because Pasternak's been hesitant to sign a big extension with the Bruins because he doesn't know what's going to happen with Marchand and Bergeron. He doesn't want to be in a situation like Patrick Kane where everybody kind of aged out and then he's no longer on a contending team.
And then you move over to the Central Division. You got Clayton Keller, USA kid, finally in like his mid-20s. I've been watching him since he was like 16. He played outdoors wearing those USA Bills jerseys. Like, it just, I couldn't believe it. And then the goaltender who played against USA in that outdoor game was Carter Hart, currently on the Flyers, getting shelled every single day. So
I was surprised by the asking price for Horvat. The Canucks were supposedly the asking price is only a second and third round pick.
that's why I think Pedersen or somebody else, you can get a package deal done. And that was like the asking price for Ryan O'Reilly, because they know he's not coming back.
Hey, if the Canucks can botch handling their coaching situation, they can botch a trade. Then support for Bruce.
They just fired Bruce.
And I know, but it was just a crappy
Free
situation.
Bruce. Okay, he's free. Ah, shit.
Bruce, there it is. Bruce.
I know
there it
Canucks
is.
fans aren't happy about them potentially trading Horvat to Boston. I was spoken to one of our friends, Graham, who watches the show, and he wasn't too happy. He's like, first you take the Stanley Cup from us, and now you got to take our star center.
Hey, remind me, what is 50 in Roman numerals?
L.
Yeah, that's what they can take for the rest of the year. I'm surprised they didn't change the Canuck to like just an L instead of a C,
It must be
He
hard.
is 100 in Roman.
It's interesting
because they're
that
gonna have at least 50 losses.
it is interesting that they put an expansion team right next to an established team like that. Seattle's like right next to,
Well, this
like,
one doesn't fit.
let's say you live in between Seattle and Vancouver.
Is that small on you, Hatter?
You have
Yeah, this one's small.
Send it on over. I need a Panthers.
themselves out of Bedard too, because they traded that
I can
pick
stretch it.
for,
Oh,
Send it on over.
nah.
no Hatter. So like he's worried I'll take it because I'm a half.
Then you got UC Saros, who in like 3 games he had 150 something shots faced and only let in 2 goals. 2 on 150. That's like getting shelled worse than Miller did in his heyday on his rookie year. And Miller would have come out with back-to-back shutouts. I don't know about, this Nashville team. They named them Smashville. They look like Smashville.
Man, a lot of my hockey hats aren't fitting right now.
It's just
Yeah,
long.
You
Long
just
hair.
gotta do the hair.
It's got to curve the.
I have a hair. I got a haircut recently. No, I just gotta stretch it out, or I have to lose weight.
Now, the Atlantic is definitely the most complete division for the All-Star team, with Ulmer, Tage Thompson, Dylan Larkin, Matthew Tkachuk, Nick Suzuki, Brady Tkachuk, Kucherov, and Mitch Marner. And
Interesting.
Austin Matthews didn't even get on there.
Interesting fact about Larkin. He's not happy with the Red Wings with their offers currently. He's a free agent at the end of the season.
That's gonna be nasty too. He's 31 maybe. He's like almost 30 or just over.
He was around towards that tail end where the Red Wings are still good, but not.
He was around for the Calder Cup of when they went back to back in like
And then
2014,
he went
15.
from the highs of that to the first overall picks.
And you know who their goaltender was.
Dominic, was it Hasek or was it
No, in 15.
in 15? I have no idea.
Oh Jesus.
Something Russian.
No, it was, I think. Oh, man, I can't
Somewhere on a computer, Neil Morrison screaming the name.
You know he is. I'll look that up in a sec. Anyway,
like-
and then you have the Metro Division.
With the Bruins,
Crosby,
I don't see us
Ovechkin.
one. You almost want to add someone that has like some future potential because we're so deep that anyone we add is going to be either a third or fourth liner for us. Like if we get Horvat, he's not going to be starting. He's going to be able to give Bergeron them a little bit and Krejci a little bit of a break, but he's not going to be our starting number one line center. He's going to be on the third line.
Now, you see what I just said about the Atlantic. Now this is the Metro. You got Ovi and Sid. And then you got Kevin Hayes, who he's like real gritty. You know, he's on the Flyers. Shesterkin. Brock Nelson. He's that D guy that you're just like, what? Why is he on that team? That's because every team had to get a guy. That's where that argument comes in. Henry.
That's the way
Every team had to be represented.
How the
I'd say
fuck?
the NHL All-Star Game is even worse than the Pro Bowl with the NFL.
And then you got Jack Hughes, Goudreau, and Svechnikov. And how did Aho not get in? Don't even.
Yeah, I'm looking. How did Johnny Hockey get in?
Dougie Hamilton's another name.
That's even more.
It's
That's even
because
more
he
surprising
plays
than
for
Seth Jones.
Columbus.
Dougie Hamilton's had a great year for the Devils too, and he's not. But
Jack Hughes. Come on.
They have to. The thing is, they have to have every team out the roster.
And don't even tell me how Terry beat Zegras. Zegras will win the popular vote because he did the Michigan and that over here.
He's also a crazy goal. Like the celebrations and the goals he gets is crazy. Like I was watching that game against the Sabres and they whistled it dead because the guy was offsides and he had a crazy goal where he's on his knees and he shot it in.
Yeah, my Devils had it.
Yeah, end of the period. It was like nuts. If Zegras was on a better team, he'd be more
Holy shit!
apt to get the All-Star nod.
Hey Jeff, what does the sticker on that 47 say?
Wait, hold on. So I don't know if you guys have seen some of my videos before where I talked about the Hat Pal accessory that's like magnets that connect your hat. Then I grabbed my Carolina hat and I looked inside and one of these little tags was in there. I always lose these. It's like I keep forgetting which hat I put them in. So
That's me with the stanky. I lose the stankies all the time because what happens is I wear the stanky in a hat, and then I forget to take it out, and it suddenly goes back in a box.
Oh, you don't have a cleanup MF. I was gonna be like, your hat didn't tell you to clean up, motherfucker.
I got this one from Amazon. I'm pretty sure it's crooked.
It's not the worst I've seen.
Could have been worse.
Great
been
color for sure,
Bangladesh.
but
I've been
mean,
wanting a Canes
they-
hat. Canes hats are
they forced
impossible
my
to
hand because it said on Amazon last one. It's like, okay, now I gotta get it.
It forced you.
Canes-
Yeah, I know.
I've been wanting a Canes hat for a while.
All right, so next question. Who deserves the popular vote? Is it someone from your team, or would you like to see another, one player make the All-Star team?
As a Bruin fan, I'd love to see Trent Frederick. He doesn't have the stats really to make it. He'd be like the worst. Like he's the worst Bruin if they did send him. But he's just such a fan favorite here with the fights and everything. The sport broadcasters here, the radio broadcasters here said it best. The Bruins have balls again, like when they did in 2011, where he had Lucic and Chara that were willing to drop the gloves. That was the biggest thing after Chara left, our toughness. Like you could beat us just by bodying us, and you knew no one was going to go around and beat the crap out of you.
Oh yeah.
And not only that, Trent Frederick can also score goals this year. He's had a career year. He's already at his career high halfway through the season at 10 goals. He's on pace to have a 20-goal season. And getting on the ice, you don't mess with any of our guys because we'll bring Frederick out. Frederick.
I mean, he's no Jay McKee or Rob Ray or
He's just like
Razor.
He's like a throwback style player to like that era of enforcers that isn't so common in the NHL anymore. Where the only person I could compare him to is probably like Patrick Kane for the Oilers because he just provides that toughness where you're not going to fuck with McDavid and them because Kane's
Vander
game.
Vander Kane.
Yeah, Vander Kane.
Patrick Kane is on Jeff's team.
Yeah, sorry, but
Led the league in
for
scoring,
now.
back-to-back Stanley Cup champion. Not him.
No, but I'd like to say that Kane, it's just that style of play that's made the Bruins so much better because the way to beat the Bruins in the past few years has been you just get your big guys out, your big defensemen out, and you force them to play the board game with guys who are used to handling the puck. But you can't do that with us anymore because you got McAvoy who's ready and raving to go fight, and you got Frederick who's ready and raving to go fight.
Oh yeah. So Jeff, how you feeling about it? Anybody you want in the game?
None that I can really think of. Nothing that's really coming to mind.
Well, obviously, I'm gonna pick either Darlene or Tuck, but for a West Coast guy, ain't no lie, dry settle. The line B with McDavid.
It'd be interesting to see what Draisaitl's numbers are if he ever leaves the Oilers.
Kane had 60 points, and he's never had that in his career.
It's just because McDavid's the guy you got to worry about, so you leave the other guys a little bit more open.
And then, what is your favorite skill competition activity? We have the hardest shot, the speed skating, the accuracy, and they always seem to do a hometown one. Last year, the accuracy was blackjack, and they lined up all the cards and they made the players try to hit 21.
I'd say the hardest shot's probably my favorite.
Jeff?
I like the accuracy one, as well as the shootout one that they try.
I really like the one where he's standing in the slot and he's taking the passes, trying to knock the 4 out because it shows the speed in the hands of the player. But I gotta give it to hardest shot. Hardest shot was just always.
It's just the NHL's version
stuck in there.
Want to watch it because you want to see how crazy the speed these guys can get. I think it was Chara had the record a while back for the hardest shot. And the competition was 130 miles an hour or something like that.
Yeah, it was 104. And then Shea Weber broke it.
And then it's crazy to think you hold the puck, in your hand and you're like, this is frozen flying at that speed.
Yeah, puck is 3.5 ounces or less.
Kind of give more of a respect for them. Hockey players are literally warriors on the ice. I remember my sister, I brought this up in the past. My sister was the Bruins were doing charity work at Children's Hospital. They were all bruised and cut up. And she's like, why are they all bruised and cut up? And they have a black eye. I'm like, that's hockey. They're taking pucks to the dome.
Anyway, really.
I like the when they were in St. Louis. I don't know if they did it last year, but when they were in St. Louis, they did kind of a distance shot where they're on the second or the third level in the arena, and then they had to shoot the puck onto the ice, and it was a kind of the ring circles of if you get it into the bigger circle is 100 points, and then you keep going in.
Oh, that was
I like that one.
The Top Golf.
Yes, that, like Top Golf.
Yeah,
I've got it for you. How do you guys feel about the Winter Classic next year being with the Kraken and Vegas Knights?
I like it.
Jeff likes that. I'm fucking over it. I'm over it.
I do think it's a really good idea to promote both teams because they're both the expansion teams. The Knights have been a great success.
Let me tell you, if both those teams are dumpster fires at the end of this year, That game is gonna be empty. $20 tickets in the bleachers.
Well, you see all the Canucks fans come over from Vancouver.
Yeah, supposing that the border, supposing we're not on COVID-22 by then.
It's just interesting to think that the NHL decided to put a market next to an already established market that's had such a not renowned history, infamous history. Like the Canucks have been like that cursed franchise where weren't they close to getting Wayne Gretzky in the draft and they didn't get the lottery pick?
Who?
Canucks. Weren't they in the lottery running for Wayne Gretzky?
Gretzky tried to come out when he was 17 and they wouldn't let him right away. There was some stipulations. Then he comes out and then he signs with the Blues. So there really wasn't a draft. He just signed.
But I know that one of the possible destinations was the Vancouver, and if Vancouver, I remember Gretzky talking about it, he goes, Vancouver probably would be a very different market now if I had gone there.
They would still probably be Vancouver,
It's like 1,000 times to 1 you can think about that. Like, what if the Bruins kept Esposito instead of trading him to the New York Rangers? Maybe Bobby would have stuck
Those
around.
are the kinds of trades that will go down as like, you don't trade from New York to Boston and you don't trade from New York to LA. And that's kind of one of those rules that I've always stood by. Unless it's like a fantasy draft in a video game, you don't.
Another funny standpoint with the Canucks and Bruins history, we got Cam Neely from them too. That's another reason why Canucks fans hate us in Boston.
I mean, so when the Sabres got the draft for the 50th season, all the Canucks fans were bitching that they didn't get the draft, and then people were trying to come up with logos, and that's where the whole L thing came from, because neither franchise has a cup. And then they did the whole falling apart in the finals thing with Luongo and the Sedins, and it just.
I did love they had a documentary that they did during the the COVID lockdown, where the Bruins had the 2011, they did it through Zoom. There was a few members from the 2011 Bruins team and a few members from the Canucks. And Liberto Luongo said he still has night terrors about Game 7 in 2011.
That's always been good, and I liked when Lou said he was playing in Nashville with Florida.
And then as far as recently, the Bruins, Zdeno Chara went on some hockey podcast. It wasn't Spitting Chicklets; it was some other podcast. And he was talking about. They asked him about how they got evacuated out of Vancouver because people were rioting and stuff.
I was watching TikTok a few months ago, and there was a girl doing some hockey TikTok videos, and she's a Canucks fan, and the video thing was about things that trigger you as a hockey fan of your team. The one thing that triggered them, Chelsea Dagger still haunting the Canucks.
A song I could never look at the same again is Gloria, because when the Blues beat us.
You know why they beat you? Because they see, I was thinking that the one thing that every team has that wins something is it's always hypothetically a Make-A-Wish kid, or that's how the Blues beat the Bruins.
Yes.
Because they had that kid, and then
Yep, I know you're talking about the girl.
I got Tim Foyle in here. Don't worry.
What cost us that Stanley Cup was the fact that we had to wait around for Vegas and the Blues to see who came out of that series. It was 7 games. We swept Carolina, and all those injuries that those guys had to pumping through adrenaline and didn't feel them added up because they had to sit around for a week and then they came back.
Yeah.
If the Bruins had won at least, I remember saying if you go back, saying this, I remember chatting with you about this, saying if the Bruins sweep the Canes, we will not win this Stanley Cup.
I feel like I told you that.
Because
I also want to put my support that it was totally Layla Anderson. I had to look up the name, the girl who was the big supporter for the Blues. Yep.
Well, last year the Oilers
that's hands down why the Bruins lost, hands down.
And then last year the Oilers had the cancer patient person. I forget who it was.
But you understand my conspiracy theory.
Now,
Just like and this is gonna come out about the Bills too. And
It
you
just makes me think. It just makes me think of the the South Park episode where Stan goes to be the hockey coach. Like it's like the Mighty Ducks.
and they're
joke.
playing the Avalanche.
No, they're playing the Detroit Red Wings.
Oh
because
yeah, they're the Avalanche playing the
the Red
Red Wings.
Wings. They hit the Red
Stop
Wings.
it! Stop it!
The rivalry, and it was they had the cancer kid that was on the team, and he's like in the hospital. He's like, "You got to win for me." And at the end of the episode, the kid dies.
They're like all
It was
dead.
like 30
Yeah.
to nothing. He was like 30 to nothing because they're 8-year-olds against the NHL.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But now here's the conspiracy about like I was writing things down. Like everybody was talking three more wins. We won by 3 points. The game's at 3:00. Anything about DeMar's number all of a sudden became the new.
They also lost by 3.
by 3 scores, yes.
We lost by 3 scores. So now that'll be the fucking instead of 4s now it's 3. So yeah, you just gotta put your tinfoil hat on and say
And they lost the number 3 seat too. They lost the number 3 seat because Cincinnati was a 3 seat.
see makes you feel better, doesn't it? Everything comes in
I think it was
threes.
pretty incredible that DeMar Hamlin was there at the game. They got him in the luxury box because he's on oxygen still. So they were afraid initially about him going out in the cold weather there because a cold or any flu right now could worsen his condition a lot.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, it didn't seem bad today, and then I was leaving work and it started to snow and I was like, it's not even bad. And then I got home and it was like, whoa, there's like an inch, but like
Well, that's like the lake effect you guys get out there, correct? Like it's like you never know what you're gonna get until you get it.
Yeah, you're just like,
A lot.
you
So the big
hit
part-
them with the might be a 1 to 3 inches, and then everybody goes, not you, and then we all laugh.
Well, I remember looking at that last big storm you guys had that was like that sidelined a lot of stuff and you had trouble driving around in your car and stuff like that.
Fucking TJ post on my wall. Oh boy, y'all got a storm coming. And I'm like, put your hat, Pat's hat back on or something.
Well, no, it was because the crazy thing was the National Weather Service was like, it can snow any of these 3 days. We don't know how much you're getting.
And then the words legendary snowstorm, aka blizzard of 22.
We don't ever get like as far as like Boston, we don't ever get a lot of snow in one dump like that. The year I remember being really bad was we had multiple storms every week and it was so cold the snow never melted, so it just kept adding up.
So
luckily this year we've had a little bit of snow, but the next day it's like 50 and it melts.
Final topic, then we can go off beat for a couple minutes. Ovi's goal count is currently at 810. He has 85 to go. Will he do it?
Yes.
This year? Next year?
I'd say next year, late next year. Or possibly into another season because he could sign a 1-year deal after that.
Hopefully still with the Caps, I wouldn't want to see him go. That would just like ruin his legacy.
Any other jersey. I don't see him in any other jersey. The only team
if he plays 4 more seasons, he could do it.
Do you know how many goals he has right now? He's pushing like 30 already. He's like 3rd or 4th in the league. He's gonna have at least
the crazy thing is all the short
60, 70.
If you look back at his career, all the shortened and lockouts, he would have already broken it by now. And
I
the era
think
of goaltenders is a lot different. The goaltenders that Gretzky had to face weren't even butterfly style. I don't know how. I know Gretzky would have been transcendent in today's game, but I don't think he would have put up the numbers that he did with the assists and everything. Just because
here's the difference.
Better nowadays.
Pause. Here's the difference. Do you know how many times goaltender gear has had to change in the last 20 years since he was drafted?
A lot.
First, we had the pads were too wide, so then they could only be like 2 inches like wider than like your leg. So a goalie couldn't wear a 16-inch width pad, he had to wear a 12 because the league wanted to ramp up scoring. That was the first lockout in 05. That was right after his rookie season. So, and he was killing it. Then we had the taller, slimmer, even slimmer pads and the smaller jersey. So when they changed over to the Reebok Edge jersey, the jersey wasn't like that big tent anymore, and they decided to cut in the goalie parts. So the goalies tried to wear bigger jerseys, and they were like, "You can't do that," because it would stop the puck and just like it would just kill the speed of the puck.
They
So
also
they're
changed the net itself. I think it was like maybe 8 seasons ago. They made it a little wider.
I just think the athletic prowess of these goalies is.
they didn't make the net wider. What they did is around the back of the cage, how it used to stick out, say 2.5 feet. Now it only sticks out 2 feet because they wanted more action behind the net.
Just to think about how much these goaltenders have like changed athletic wise, like the style of play is a lot different.
And you know, they just raised the banner for Miller. When he was drafted, he was like 155 pounds, 6'2". And I don't think he gained more than like 10 pounds his entire career here. He was
There was
just
a lot of goaltenders, for example, if you're under 6 feet and you're a goaltender prospect, you're not going to make it past even to the AHL level because all the goaltenders had to be over 6'2". The few
that's
Jari,
not entirely true. Because I mean, Tokarski, while he didn't make it, he's still a warrior.
but as far as like goaltending goes, like if you're a young kid who's trying to be like is considered a possible prospect, that's one of the things the NHL teams look at and they'll go, "We can have you as our goaltender because you're 5'8".
That was the one thing.
Because he's going to contain more than that.
Did I tell you? I might have told you this story. I don't think I've ever told it on camera. Is when I went to go see Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen for his first game in Rochester. Not only was it Pride Night, but you know, I just bought like whatever seat I could get because it was a sold out game. And I was just like, thank God I'm here. You know, it's the first game. He comes out. So he's like 6'6", 6'7" on skates. All right. Our other tallest player on the team was 6'3". Okay. So he comes out like a freaking giant. And it just looks like a nesting doll all the way down our team. He was a brick wall. Like nothing was going through him. And then a guy tried to screen him, and he's just like, dude, like, you're not doing anything to me. Stop.
It's just like the goaltenders have changed so much in the last 20 years. Interesting to have seen Gretzky in this era versus his era where the goaltenders were pretty soft. But the only thing, the argument you can make is that the defenses of today aren't as aggressive. Like they're not going to open ice whack you. But Gretzky had Messier.
I disagree. Today's hits are way harder. Way harder.
Guys with the open ice and guys that were just like willing to fuck you up. Like there's a certain respect.
There's a difference in that, though. There's a difference between fighting and open ice hits. I'll have to show you a couple of the Darlene hits that I'm talking about.
Yeah, like guys like Unwall, for example, who was in Detroit for all those years. That was just a wall.
Bertuzzi, that dickhead.
Bertuzzi got suspended basically for 2 seasons on that hit.
He got suspended for life.
No, he eventually
Never played again.
He did. I thought he made it back a few years later because there was a lockout the year after it happened, and then
I think he had to go back to like
he went back to like the
Colorado.
He went back to like the Federal League, then he went back to Colorado. But he had to serve a suspension.
Speaking of goalie athleticism, I once saw Pekka Rinne score a goal at Blackhawks game a few years ago. We were losing, but all of a sudden it's like, wait, they scored? Who scored? The goalie? What the hell?
Now, nobody answered until I finished the question. Nobody answered until I finished the question. Who has the most goals as a goalie?
Martin Brodeur.
Too easy. Too
They
easy.
literally made a rule that you couldn't bring the puck out because of him.
No. The touch rule. No, the fight rule was Hextall, and then the second part of it was Patrick Waugh. Because they would go stand at the center ice, they would rip their helmet off and say, "Come on." And now you have to leave your helmet on or you have to leave the ice. So when a goalie's helmet strap breaks and he throws the helmet off, the play gets called dead. That one, first it was Hextall, where he was just tripping guys with his stick. I mean, he would hack them and hack them and hack them. And
Yeah,
then
I have an interesting question for you. As a Blackhawks fan, and I know you collect some sports jerseys, would you get a Blackhawks Fleury jersey, even though he basically did nothing for your franchise, just purely because he's a Hall of Famer and that's going to be an obscure jersey to have in a collection?
I would rather get a Flurry Vegas jersey than a Flurry Hawks jersey, to be honest.
But
Now, granted, he didn't necessarily do nothing for the Blackhawks, maybe on paper, but the Blackhawks welcomed him in really, really well. They really loved him in the locker room. I mean, they went nuts as if they were his team all along when he got 500 wins as a goalie.
You're clearly the classic organization compared to Vegas, because Vegas just dumped his ass. They didn't even tell him he was on the trade block.
well, they did need a story that was positive on the outlook side at the time. We're not going to get into that today.
No, I mean, Fleury was really well received in Chicago.
Another interesting story is that Robert Lehner with the bankruptcy thing.
TJ, I think we're gonna start cutting it down here.
Yeah, we'll hang it up. We'll talk about that another day.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to hang up the boots tonight, as they say, for that one.
I also, before we wrap up here, I really want to say I'm disappointed in TJ here. He did not do one hat switch all night compared to John and I. I mean, I did the most, but
he's just fucking taunting me, and that's fine. And I'll take it out on him later. And
you did it with
you don't have more than one
Patriots
Bengals hat?
right?
That's disappointing. I mean, I
well,
only have one.
You
Bengals
see,
hat,
Hatter, when I send him cards, and I've done this a couple times, where I would send him like a Red Sox bundle, but then I would slip in like the Blue Jays defeated the Red Sox 27-2, and I'll slip that card in there as a little fuck you reminder. He remembers that, or like the game where Bo, Vlad, and Biggio all homered. I slipped that one in there.
Run. It was a football score. They said it's like the Pat score.
Yeah, like 1960, where they were getting their ass beat.
Not so much better this year. They were real disappointment. This is probably one of the worst Patriots teams disappointment wise I've seen, because on paper we looked like we were going to be a better team than we were.
Well, basically what I was trying to say, I was going to give everybody a shot at wrapping up the video. So Jeff, if you'd like to kick us off in summary.
So for summary, I will say, let me grab the hat here. Maybe another time we'll get into it, but just so I won't have the preview here. We're in the off season for the WNBA, but it's free agency. The New York Liberty are going to create the first super team since like the Houston Comets back in the early days. So that's something to look forward to in the next few weeks coming up, where Breanna Stewie's going to be signing probably with the Liberty. But it's going to be kind of a championship season coming up soon here with Super Bowl. It was the Bengals probably taking it, and then getting into March Madness. So it'll be fun.
Spring training's right around the corner too. I know we're all excited for baseball to be back, although I'm not as excited as a Red Sox fan.
The Boston Ray Sox.
Good
Yeah,
teams, AAA club.
well, you can have your closing statement.
I just like to say, I go Bengals, go Bruins. I
Oh.
want to see Cincinnati get their first Super Bowl, and I'd love for Bergeron and the Bruins to get the cup. They just got to keep rolling, and hopefully no injuries line up. That's a big thing with hockey, because you're playing 82 game season, and then it's possibly like a how many? If you played 7 game series all the way through, there's 4 rounds, right?
Yeah.
So you'd be playing 28 and then a 28 game playoff possibly.
Yeah.
Where anything can
Over
happen.
100 games, whether you're in a bubble or not.
So like I said, go Bruins. I'd love to see us get a championship. I know everybody hates Boston because we've had championship parade after championship parade, whether it be the Patriots, the Red Sox, the Bruins once, the Celtics once.
Yeah,
I
go
just-
Bruins to win the President's Cup. Keep that curse going.
Well, let me see. Well, we discussed our season's ending. I gloated because we made it the farthest, which was a very subtle gloat. And then we discussed our hockey. The World Baseball Classic is right around the corner, and we will see you next time. Thank you to Hatter for joining us today. This was quite a long one. We all got our shots in, I think, pretty well. Everybody took a few on the chin tonight. And as always, as we say on the show, peace,
Peace.
love, and Cavs.